Hello, good people of Cosmoverse. Really excited to see everyone here. My name is Andrei Zavgorodnii, and this is Mike Mozahev. And today we're going to be talking about Neutron, the new hot Cosmos zone. So before we start talking about the technical details about governance and tokenomics, and even before I tell you what Neutron actually is, I think it's gonna be good to understand the motivation behind Neutron. So, what can we say about, I don't think that, oh, nice. So everything works. Okay, so what can we say about the Cosmos ecosystem today? I think it's safe to say that the Cosmos ecosystem is doing really great because there is more than 40 Cosmos chains that you can see on Minscan, and last month the IBC volume was roughly 600 million US dollars, which is pretty amazing, I think. We can also say that interchain technologies are becoming more and more mature and usable. I mean, like a year ago, what we had was the simplistic IBC transfers, and today we have interchain accounts, and we have not one, but several implementations of interchain queries coming up. So I think it's safe to say that it's a very exciting time to be a developer in the Cosmos ecosystem. But of course, there is some challenges. First of all, even though we have the amazing Cosmos SDK available, which makes your life as a blockchain developer much easier, for smaller teams, launching your own blockchain, an independent application blockchain, might be a difficult task, mostly because of the resources that are required to maintain and support an independent blockchain. Next challenge that we have now is the relatively low liquidity and economic security. I think that currently, arguably, only the Cosmos Hub does not have that problem. And last thing to mention here is that although IBC is an amazing technology that allows you to build complex protocols, interesting applications that use the interchain functionality, due to its asynchronous nature, without a common execution context of some sort, it might be a little bit tricky to compose services and make them work together. So, how does Neutron help us with those challenges? Well, first of all, let's talk about what Neutron is, like a quick primer. Neutron is a custom smart contracts platform that is permissionless and that supports everything that is related to interchain and IBC. Let's decompose that. So let's talk about the security first and foremost. Neutron is going to be one of the first zones that are going to be secured by the Cosmos Hub. That means that Neutron will have the same economic security as Cosmos Hub, which is the top security in the ecosystem at this moment. Next thing here is that Neutron is going to be a permissionless Cosmos chain. That means that you won't have to go through the long and tedious governance process in order to launch on Neutron. Combined with the fact that Neutron is going to fully support IBC, so it will give the smart contract developers the ability to use interchain accounts, interchain queries. Combined with this fact, Neutron is actually this desired single execution context for various interchain services that can be built by the Cosmos developers. So how does that work? We're gonna go a little bit technical here, so we'll start with the interchain security, then we'll move on to interchain accounts, and then we'll discuss the interchain queries. So interchain security is something that has been already discussed here. We talked about this technology, and we'll talk about it more maybe during next presentations, but in a nutshell, interchain security allows you to launch a new chain and immediately benefit from the economic security of the provider chain. In the case of Neutron, this is going to be Cosmos Hub. Next thing is the interchain accounts. So the situation with the interchain accounts is as follows. Interchain accounts allow you to execute transactions, like trigger execution of transactions on remote zones from your own zone. So, but the problem with the current state of affairs with interchain accounts is that the IBC Go implementation does not provide like regular standard SDK messages that allow you to register an interchain account and a trigger execution of a transaction on a remote zone. You can, of course, implement all of that on smart contracts level using like raw IBC packets and basically duplicating the ICE code, but arguably this is not the desired way to go. So Neutron solves that problem by providing you with the interchain transactions adapter module that handles the creation of interchain accounts in remote zones and the management of those accounts, so you can basically execute transactions on remote zones. This adapter module is able to dispatch various IBC events such as acknowledgements, timeouts, the events that are related to the opening of a channel, to the smart contracts that own the respective interchain accounts. It allows for multiple interchain accounts to be registered within one zone by a single contract. Of course, a single contract can register accounts in multiple zones. And to sum up, it's an easy-to-use solution for smart contract developers to actually work with interchain accounts, which I think is great. Next, we're moving to the next hot piece of technology, the interchain queries, and I think that Mike is going to take from here.
So yeah, unlike interchain queries, unlike interchain accounts, interchain queries allows you actually to read data from the remote chain. And it allows you to build even more complex and interesting interchain projects like interchain liquid staking, money markets, etc., etc. So let's see this on some pretty simplified examples. So there is a protocol on Neutron, a remote zone, for example, a Cosmos Hub, and there are users. If users stakes their assets on a remote zone, for example, Cosmos Hub, the protocol on Neutron can check that user can actually stake their assets on the remote zone, and it can execute some business logic. For example, issue some derivative for these staked assets. So how the interchain queries can be implemented? There are actually two ways to implement interchain queries. The first way is using threshold-based solutions with using of oracles, some kind of oracles. This solution requires some operational costs. It has high latency and it's trusted, meaning you have to trust all the participants which are running all the relayers and stuff. The second way to implement interchain queries is IBC-based solutions, meaning you send the query data in the IBC packet, and the query result sends back in the IBC packet acknowledgement. That is what Strangelove is doing right now. The second way to implement interchain queries using trustless solutions is raw key value queries. That is what Neutron is doing right now. Our solution is trustless, so you don't need to trust the people. You can trust only the math. Simple queries are cheap, so you can. Simple queries doesn't require transfer a lot of data between the chains. It's fully compatible with CosmoverseHQ smart contracts because we have nice CosmoverseHQ bindings. And we have callbacks for immediate processing of interchain query results. But the developers must be aware of the storage layout on remote chain. So it can change because of some chain upgrade or something. So the contracts must be updated too on the Neutron. And complex queries may be more expensive because it requires a lot of data to transfer between the chains. So how does our interchain queries works? It's pretty simple. Some business logic from Neutron can register an interchain query contract on the Neutron, which describes what keys should be read from the remote chain. The ICQ layer sees that registered chain query and reads the values and the defined keys on the remote chain. It submits it on the Neutron. Neutron verifies that the values are actually valid using cryptographic proofs, and it sends them back to the business smart contract, so it can do some business related stuff for your DeFi project. Also, Neutron allows you to query not only the data from the remote chain, but also the transactions. It may be useful if your DeFi project your DeFi project can check that users actually did some action on the remote chain, and you must be aware of it. It works in a pretty similar way. You just register an interchain query on Neutron, which describes what kind of transactions you want to receive from the remote chain. So you receive them, and you can execute some business logic on Neutron. It sounds very complicated, but actually it's not. Neutron SDK, we have a Neutron SDK for the smart contracts for the Cosmos, and it's shipped with a lot of helpers for different interchain queries. And if you didn't find some interchain query implemented in our SDK or like some kind of helper, you can always open API in our SDK, and we encourage you to do this because it improves Neutron and makes it better and better.
Yay. So, to conclude, Neutron makes it easy to use interchain accounts and interchain queries. And I would want to point out that Neutron is going to be shipped with our own implementation of interchain queries, which are based on key value queries. But as soon as there is an implementation of interchain queries that is based on pure IBC packets, we are going to start supporting it. And there is a Strangelove implementation that we're really excited about. And I think that we're going to use them at least for some time alongside, because it might take some time for all the zones to upgrade to be able to support the IBC-based implementation of interchain queries. There is detailed documentation and step-by-step tutorials available. You can use the QR code to have a look at it. And yeah, I think that's it about the technical side. It was a wild ride. And now we're going to move towards the arguably more pleasant part, which is our tokenomics vision. So the thing is, when you're launching a new blockchain, especially if it's a blockchain that is interchain secured, you have to answer the question of whether or not you want to have your own separate token. And if you do want to have this token, then probably you need to understand what kind of token that should be and what purposes it should serve. So in the case of Neutron, we decided that we do need a separate token. And there is basically two types of arguments in favor of having that token. The first argument is governance. So basically, we just don't want to outsource all governance to the Cosmos Hub. That is because this will increase the load on the validators and on ADA holders in general. And especially, like, you know, remembering the fact that Neutron is not going to be the only chain that is going to be interchain secured by the hub. There's going to be multiple chains. I don't think that we want to give the example of, you know, just moving all the governance to Cosmos Hub. Next thing here is that we actually want to build a separate Neutron-centric community that is supposed to be able to influence the future of Neutron, and we think that having our own governance token here is a good thing because it will help us with that. And next thing is the funding. So we will absolutely have to face the cold start problem at the very beginning, right? And we'll need a way to provide funding to early builders. We'll need to give long-term incentives to our key partners. And a separate dedicated Neutron token is going to be good for that also. The name of the token is Neutron, by the way. Let's talk about the early funding, I think. So we're only going to use this money printer approach at the very beginning, because we think that a healthy economy is a self-reinforcing loop, and that the projects that receive this early funding, as they evolve and grow to be profitable, they will generate transactions that we can collect fees from, and then direct that money to the community pool, and then fund and sponsor new projects with that money. So basically, the money printer, the quote-unquote money printer approach is going to be used just at the early stages of Neutron's life. And there is also a couple of words about our vision of governance. So at the very beginning, we're going to be centralized but agile. So we're going to be dealing with this cold start set of problems. But this is not the way we want to do things. We want to move steadily towards the more decentralized version of governance. So we're going to have decentralized grants, retroactive funding, decentralized retroactive funding for interesting projects that contributed to the ecosystem. We're going to use more interesting decentralized technologies, governance technologies such as gauges, to make it easier for our users to vote on multi-option proposals. And later on in the future, I think it's a good idea to think about using like the very advanced technologies such as quadratic funding, probably to solve the problem of the representation of the smaller holders of Neutron tokens. So to sum up, we do want Neutron governance to be as decentralized as possible. We know how we want to do that, and we basically going to just adhere to that plan. So what's next? What we have next is basically we need to run the testnets, then we have to launch, and then we have to work on the ecosystem. So there's going to be a lot of testnets. Currently we're in DevNet. We submitted our code to audit just like a week ago. There's going to be several testnets, some without interchain security, some with interchain security, and then there's going to be the launch. Yay! But we should understand that launch is conditioned heavily by the development of interchain security. So until this technology is ready, we cannot launch because we want to launch with the hub. Yeah, so, and then we're going to work on the ecosystem. You'll be able to do a lot of things on Neutron right away. There is going to be liquid staking, auto compounding, auto compounding, and a lot of other stuff. You'll be able to do trading and lending and borrowing. There is a couple of placeholders here. We cannot tell you yet what's going to be there, but I absolutely assure you that this is going to be exciting. Yeah. So, basically, that's it. If you want to build with us, if you want to support Neutron, or if you even want to join the team, please reach out to us. We have a booth right across the building, and we'll be happy to answer all of your questions. So, thank you very much.